Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Most of you know who I am. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is KrimsonKreamer and I play video games, and this is a new series that I want to bring to the channel because the new Yu-Gi-Oh game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, came out and I am completely enthralled by the game. As a big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! Someone who's gone to competitions, played in competitions, and has legit competitive decks, this is the game that was right up my alley, and what better way to start off the series with probably my favorite deck of all time, the Fur Hires. Now, what this deck revolves around is pretty much swarming the field with different monster cards. As you can see here, we have Philo, the Messenger for Hire, we have Dampa, Marksman for Hire, and so on and so forth. Basically, this whole deck, like I said, is trying to swarm out monsters because each of the Fur Hires, except for the 4 main boss monsters, are able to pretty much, during the main phase, you can special summon 1 Fur Hire monster from your hand, except whatever that monster is. And then, when you special summon a monster, the cards get a secondary effect. For example, if a Fur Hire monster is special summoned to your field while you control this monster, except during the damage step, you can target 1 monster, quote-unquote, Fur Hire in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, but place it at the bottom of the deck if it leaves the field. All cards have effects like this, pretty much like I said. You can special summon, and then when a card is special summoned, it does an effect. This one destroys a face-up monster. Recon Scalpel for Hire destroys a face-down card. This card allows you to discard a card and draw a card, and so on and so forth. And that's pretty much what this deck revolves around, and it's a really good deck. Especially when you get to the 4 or 5 boss monsters that are technically within this deck, or in this archetype, if you will. We have Stagita, Maverick for Hire. When this card is special summoned, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each Fur Hire monster you control with a different name, except for this one. You can only use this effect once per turn. Your opponent cannot target monsters you control with card effects, except for this one. And when I say cards that you control, I mean Fur Hires. That is, like I said, what this archetype is around. And that's pretty much what these boss monsters do, is that they have these bigger effects to protect all the other cards. Like Dinah, Hero for Hire, lets you banish cards from your opponent's graveyard for the amount of Fur Hires that you control with different names. And then your opponent cannot target your other Fur Hire monsters for attacks except for this one, and this guy being 2,500 attack points. That's a pretty big hill to climb over. And then you also have the cards like Wiz, Sage for Hire, where you gain life points for each Fur Hire that you have, and then your opponent, when your opponent activates a spell or trap card or effect, you can discard 1 Fur Hire card and negate the activation. You can only use this effect once per turn. And then we have Raphael. I call him Raphael, but it's like Raphael, Champion for Hire. When this card is special summoned, excavate the top cards of your deck equal to the number of Fur Hire monsters you control with different names except this card, and if you do, add 1 of them to your hand and then shuffle the rest back into the deck. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can discard 1 Fur Hire card to negate the activation. You can only use this effect once per turn. And that is pretty much really good because both Wiz and Raphael's effects, discarding a Fur Hire card, also mean the magic cards and trap cards as well. So I can discard Training for Hire, Mayhem for Hire. I don't know if I could sacrifice this. I'm pretty sure I can't. But it doesn't just exclude the monsters as well. And then there is also the extra decked boss monster, Full Go Justice for Hire. 3 monsters. To summon him, you need 3 monsters with different names. He's a Link 3. Cannot be used as Link material. If this card is Link summoned, you can special summon 1 Fur Hire monster with a different type from the monsters you used for the Link summon from your deck in defense position. If a card your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can draw 1 card, and then if you control 3 or more monsters that are Fur Hires with different names, draw 2 additional cards. This card is key to this deck, being able to, like I said before, swarm the field, summon Full Go, and then have Full Go summon 1 of the boss monsters to be able to protect everything from effects when it becomes your opponent's turn. The other cards that I have in this deck are just kind of miscellaneous cards to kind of help out the archetype. We have number 64, Ronin Raccoon, which is really good. being able to use 2 level beast type monsters, which is what some of the fur hires are. And what's good about this is that I can get rid of a Xyz material to special summon 1 token, and then that token becomes its attack becomes equal to the current attack of the monster of the field that has the highest attack. While you control another beast type monster, the cards cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. So this is kind of to help out the archetype, because the fur hires are all different types of monsters, which is nice. And then this is really good, especially if you have a high level monster out. You can get another one out for free, basically. And then, you know, just some other miscellaneous stuff like Kachikochi Dragon, number 103, Raganzaro, and then some Link monsters as well. The higher level Link monsters that you're going to probably see a lot of is Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. This card is also really good for this deck because it requires 3 monsters with different names, and it also says if this card is Link summoned using a level 7 or higher monster as material, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can activate one of these following effects. This card gains 1500 attack, which stays with the monster as long as it's on the field, and this card can make a second attack during the battle phase of your next turn, or you can banish 1 card from the field. This card is super duper good, especially when you, like I said before, if you can Link summon using a level 7 or higher. This makes it a definite threat because then your opponent cannot target it with certain things, can only defeat it by battle, which is really good for this card. And like I said, it's a staple of this deck. We also have Nightmare Griffin in here, Boral Sword Dragon, Axis Code Talker, and Tri-Brigade Shirag the Ominous Omen. This is good because it has all of these effects, and it's just another high-level rank 4 Link monster, points to different zones. It's a pretty decent deck all around. This is the one that I use constantly, competitively, IRL, and now bringing it over here really makes it, you know, special, and it just warms my heart to be able to play this deck in this game, and it's just a whole lot of fun. And I'm going to show you some duels with this. And if you want to know the other cards that are in this deck, we have Regeki, Destroy All Monsters, Monster Reborn, Lightning Storm, United We Stand, which is another key part of this deck. When you swarm the field, you activate this. Equipped monster gains 800 attack and defense for each face-up monster you control. You're going to be seeing this a lot in these replays, and you're going to be seeing this card, Power of the Guardians, a lot as well. This is another really good card to have if you want to protect a certain monster. Every time your monster declares an attack, place a spell counter on this card. The equipped monster gains 500 attack and defense for each spell counter on this card. And then if the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove 1 spell counter from the field instead, thus keeping your monster alive. And you might take some damage if they're attacking you with a higher level monster, but at least your monster can stay out on the field, and if it has an effect, you could probably use that effect later on. This is like a really good card to have in pretty much any deck if you want to try to keep a specific monster alive. Fandora the Flying Torturess is another good one. Lets you, for your draw phase, instead of drawing, you can add a specific fur hire monster from your deck. And then if you control 5 or more fur hire monsters, you can send this card from the field zone to the graveyard and destroy all cards your opponent controls. Also, for the rest of your turn, your opponent takes no damage. So it's kind of a bit of a trade-off to clear your opponent's field, but then not be able to attack, which is fine. But like I said, if your opponent has a full field, then you put your field full of fur hires while you have this card, you can pretty much wipe their field for free at the cost of not being able to attack for that 1 turn, which is pretty good. Then, you know, we have the classic cards like Shard of Greed. Every time a greed counter is placed on this card, blah, blah, blah. You can draw 2 cards. And then Mystical Space Typhoon, just to kind of have it out there. And then as for defense, we have Mirror Force, Drowning Mirror Force, and then Zoma the Spirit, which is good because it gets to summon a monster to the field. And then if this card is destroyed, it inflicts damage to your opponent instead of you. And if this card does end up staying alive, it's good for the fur hire cards because, like I said, it doesn't require anything specific except for just a different type of monster. So that makes this card really, really good. But now I'm going to show you some duels with this deck just to show you how viable it is. And I really hope you guys enjoy this because I'm definitely going to enjoy this. And yeah, just sit back, relax, and watch the fur hires take command. And with that, that's the For Hire deck. Some really good battles. I really did enjoy this. And it was a lot of fun. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe to the channel. It greatly helps out. And if you want to help out a little bit more, please, you could also become a member of the channel. Helps me out and supports me to be doing what I love, and I appreciate it very, very much. If you have any questions about what you saw or anything about Yu-Gi-Oh! Or anything else in general, please leave a comment down below. And don't forget that this video is brought to you by Ahoy Print. Ahoy Print is the printing company that I partnered with, and they made a really cool poster for me, and you can buy it, and then there's also a bundle of all the other stuff that I like from there. And also, don't forget to check out everything else on their website. Their website is awesome and amazing. But anyway, I'm going to get up out of here. Have a wonderful day, and as always, good gaming. God bless, go beyond, and keep on keeping on.
Imagine I pull a Raigeki right now.
If you pull Raigeki, I will... Did you... I'm gonna end you. I am going to end you. No, okay. Jesus Christ! Don't scare me like that, Jerry! Oh.
You wanna know what I pulled? I pulled a volcanic shell. That's what I pulled. I pulled my volcanic shell.
So do you want to order back one more time? Because of how quick these are?
Yeah.
Okay. This is gonna be intense.
Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
You know what, Jerry? I'll go first, okay? To make it fair.